Welcome to Automation Podcast Series Episode 2. In the last episode, you have seen how a newbie has shared her journey from an amateur to an automation specialist in Siemens. And today we have a special guest who is working with Rockwell Automation in Singapore from last 12 years as technical consultant. Let me introduce Vineet Bansal. He's not only a guest for tonight, but also a friend with whom I studied mechatronics in Indosys Training Center, located in Chandigarh in India 16 years ago. So Vineet, welcome to my podcast. How are you doing today?
Thanks, Rajvi, for inviting me to this podcast. I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
I'm great. I imagine the time at your place is a bit late, 9:45 or 10 o'clock, but I appreciate your energy for this podcast.
Thanks a lot. And you seem pretty well at.
Yeah, just to let you know, guys, Vineet was one of the most intelligent student in our class, and if I'm not wrong, also the best student for all the teachers. Am I right?
I wouldn't say that, but I was pretty focused on whatever I was doing in academia.
Yeah, that's why.
Rajveer and other people were a lot into a lot of other stuff. They were into gaming. They knew a lot of stuff. But I was pretty much into
Yes,
academia.
I remember I was running away from the projects and I used to do this computer stuff and I keep running to the teachers, hey, do you have any problem in computer? I can fix it. So that was a good time. All right, so we can start with the podcast. And as you know, we have some questions for which you can answer. So let's start with the podcast with my first questions. My first question to you is, why you choose Rockwell Automation as a career option?
So when I was in college, Rockwell Automation was a big company, and it used to be taking students as graduate engineering trainings.
Okay.
So we were able to get the placements at the campus.
Okay.
And that was one of the major reasons. And it is quite a popular company.
Yeah, for sure.
One of the most ethical companies. So that was one of the good options. So I chose for Rockwell Automation.
So did you also have some interest with the automations in your education time? Did you make some projects related to automation?
So I was interested in automation, or particularly robotics, like since I was 10. But there was nothing I did about it. I was just interested, and I kept my focus towards science and mathematics. And when I got a opportunity with Indosys Training Center back in 2004, so I had one goal in mind, that I have to go for mechatronics and industrial automation course.
That's nice.
And so in the third and fourth year, we had to go through a lot of labs, and then we had one complete semester for our project. So we did a project where it was more like a loading on conveyor and pick and place from the conveyor.
Yes, I remember your project. There was a robotic arm which picks and plays on the conveyor, something like that, was it?
Yes.
Great.
Yeah, so it would put on a printing machine and take back from it and
my
put
God.
on the conveyor.
It has been 12 years. Now I remember a little bit.
I had great teammates.
Yeah. And who was your teammates?
Arsh, Anubhav.
Okay.
Yeah, Anubhav, Saurabh.
Saurabh, Arsh. Okay, yeah. I can imagine that. Okay, great. So I would say just because you were interested in automation and you had an opportunity in the college, so you thought, let's do it, and then you got selected. Very nice.
Yes.
So I would like to ask you now, what is your current role in this company and how did you reach your current position today? Because I imagine it has been 12 years in automation. So.
Yes. So I started as a GET in the company. So it's more like a graduate engineering training program.
Okay.
So we were freshers out of the college in 2008. And then in 2009, our roles were changed to project engineers.
Okay.
So I was there in that role for around like 4 and 5 years.
Okay.
After that, I changed my role. Now I am in OEM technical consultant. So now I help machine manufacturers to implement Rockwell automation based solutions. I help them to make their interfaces between third party products also sometimes, like because machines builders have to accommodate as per the plant infrastructure.
So for example, in a panel, if you have a drive with, let's say, Siemens, and you have controller like PLC, you guide them how to interface third-party controllers or softwares with your Rockwell products. Am I right?
Yes, and it's less about like drives because
Okay.
generally people tend to have the same brand of
Yeah.
PLC or
That was
drive.
just an
But
example. I
the
mean, yeah.
yeah. So but when it comes to using some special module like a barcode scanners
Okay.
or using
Yeah.
some sort of printers
Okay.
or using some sort of cameras.
Mm-hmm.
So these are all like
Oh, that's
these are
interesting.
third party products. Yes, and it all of them mostly use different kind of protocols. Some would use Ethernet protocols, some would use for serial
Mm-hmm.
protocols.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them use Modbus. So
Okay.
it helps to learn a lot of protocols and diversity. There's a lot of diversity,
Okay.
and yeah.
So, if I ask you when you started this job, were you employed as a programmer? Did you have to program some PLCs? What was your role in the beginning? And now that you explain already what is your current role, what was your role in the beginning of your job?
So when I joined as a GET, we
Mm-hmm.
were provided 3 months of classroom training.
Okay,
We will learn a lot about the current products of the
I
company
see.
and different company policies also.
Okay.
But after that, we started doing some basic level of programming,
Mm-hmm.
or it was mostly about as project basis. So a
Okay.
lot of people were just sent directly to the sites also
Oh,
based
okay.
on the requirements. If they have to just do some IO testing in the field
Okay. Yeah.
or have to provide some sort of support into some senior engineers kind of,
Okay. I
more
got
like
it.
a buddy system.
Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah,
got it.
so yes, but the programming was always there. And one more thing was there which people generally don't get exposure to in their colleges is
Mm-hmm.
like manufacturing panel testing. So
I
there was
see.
a manufacturing team, they will manufacture the panels, but
Okay.
the final electrical or IO testing would have to be done by us
Okay.
to ensure that they
I got
are
it.
like wired
Working fine. Yeah.
properly. And yeah,
That's really nice.
we used to call it as
Mm-hmm.
acceptance test.
Yeah.
Maybe it is a factory acceptance test, or
Yeah.
we could go to site for doing site acceptance
Mm-hmm.
test.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that kind of
Okay.
stuff.
So you must have been traveling a lot in this company, customer to
Uh,
customer, also in and out of the country.
yes. So when I started back in India in
Mm-hmm.
2008,
Mm-hmm.
I had to travel across India actually. I touched all the four corners of
Oh,
India, I think.
okay. That's nice.
I went to Pondicherry in north, I went to
Mm-hmm.
HP
Mm-hmm.
in east, I went to Bangladesh,
Okay.
and in the west, I went
Nice.
to Gujarat. So
Oh,
yeah, I
nice.
touched
You
four
covered
corners of
everything.
India.
And now your job is more
Yes.
stable, or you also have to travel as a OEM technical consultant?
So my role is currently focused on customers which are in Singapore, but
Mm-hmm.
I do travel to within Southeast Asia as
Okay.
per the project needs, but it is less as compared to when I was in India.
Oh, okay. That's okay. I think when you are having a family, now you're more settled, you don't need more traveling because you have a family. Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you for your answer. I will proceed to the second question. Considering Rockwell Automation being a big player in automation industry, what qualification or work attitude you should have to work in Rockwell Automation? It's for the people who are considering working in this company.
Okay. So actually, almost if we talk about attitude,
Mm-hmm.
every company needs the same. Somebody who can own their role,
Okay.
own their job.
Mm-hmm.
Who don't have to be spoon fed for
Yeah,
everything.
yeah, this is very
You know,
important. Yeah.
yeah, and somebody who really wants to develop, who is continuously learning
Mm-hmm.
or improving,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of attitude. And in terms of qualifications, if you are going for a fresher,
Mm-hmm.
so of course they have to have bachelor's
Okay.
in technology.
Okay.
And if they are going for a role when they already have some experience, maybe few years,
Okay.
then the qualifications won't matter much.
Okay.
Their experience would be would should talk about them more.
Okay. So you can say students who are in the area of, let's say, automation or mechatronics or electronics, electrical, these are more suitable for the job. Do they need some extra training, or is it also possible freshers to apply in Rockwell Automation?
So it is different from country to country.
Okay.
So in a lot of countries, the concept of internships is very strong actually.
Okay, so
So they would look for people who would
I
could go for
see.
good internships,
That's an easy
in
route.
basically
Yeah.
in the same field,
Okay.
and it gives a chance for the students also
Yeah,
to
exactly.
actually see what happens in there, whether they would be
Yeah.
finally interested in that
Yeah.
role or
That's
that kind
true.
of job.
That's right.
And Yes, of course, I was saying bachelor's in technology or bachelor's in science more because this role
Yeah.
requires those kind of
Most
skills.
technical stuff.
However, I've seen people who did some sort of BCA or like
Okay.
masters in computers
Yeah.
applications. Those guys also made it
Okay.
to good roles in the same company, but of course they were not the freshers out of a
Okay.
college who made
Okay.
it to that. But it still depends on the
Okay.
requirements because nowadays our industry is looking more amalgamation between industrial automation and IT.
IT, yeah, this is
So there is a
like
lot of convergence between these two
IoT.
technologies,
Yeah. Yeah, I can
Yeah,
imagine. I
yeah.
think it's everywhere. In every company, even in Germany, people are looking for IoT engineers. And I think in India has already started a lot of IoT courses as well. So I think this is the future, I imagine, for all automation. Okay. Now I go to the next question. What kind of challenges you faced while working in automation industry? Would you like to share an experience?
Okay. So when we are in the industry, sometimes there are projects which are brownfield or greenfield projects.
Mm-hmm.
Then you don't have timelines in terms of, sorry, you have timelines,
Okay.
but you don't have a particular time frame for which you are
Okay.
working. Sometimes you are working long hours.
Yeah.
I have worked for like 24 hours straight or
Oh my God,
more than
really?
that also.
Without sleep?
Not for a very long time actually, but
Okay,
it would
okay.
happen
Ooh,
when there is a plant startup or when the
okay.
maybe you might miss the deadlines and there are
Yeah.
things set up,
Mm-hmm.
and there are challenges where because the projects go very big sometimes.
Okay. Yeah, that's true.
They are huge, and you have a lot of stress. They have lot to plan, program.
But you go as a team when
So
you go for these projects?
yes, so depends on the size of the project,
Okay.
or depends on the skill sets required. So
Mm-hmm.
if it requires a variety of skill sets, so then you
Okay.
have to get different kind of people, different number of peoples. But if it's more about just two or three skills, then you
Okay.
can have one person taking care of a larger area.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if I talk about other challenges, it's like just I was talking about, you have third party products
Yeah.
a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
Even in big projects, also you will find a lot of companies providing different kinds of solutions.
Okay.
So there, the interaction between the different teams
Mm-hmm.
or different products,
Mm-hmm.
interfacing between different projects, it becomes sometimes a challenge
Yeah. Okay.
because
Because of
you
the
have to
communication
provide data.
protocols. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, communication protocols between humans also.
Whoa.
You have to
That's
provide
right.
data to someone who is not from your company, who is not from your team, who may be a client or
Yeah,
who may be
that's
a vendor
right.
to the client. So there are sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
there is communication protocol mismatch, or you have to,
That's
yeah.
right. That's right. Even human communication sometimes is worse, and you can't proceed if you don't have a good understanding. That's
Yeah,
okay.
and yeah, so harder part about human protocols is like you don't have a user manual for that. But
Oh,
for communication protocols in the industry, you have user manuals, right? You can look up the document and you can,
mm-hmm. Yeah,
troubleshoot the things.
yeah,
But if there are, so working in big teams is also a challenge, and going for a variety of products is also
mm-hmm.
a challenge. But it's a great learning opportunity
Yeah,
also, like how to collaborate with people or collaboration between different companies
yeah.
or products. Yeah.
You talked about manual and people, and I'll tell you some experience. Most of my students ask me questions, and I always tell them, read the manuals. Everything is in the manual, but they don't read it. And then they keep asking me, and they are waiting for 1 week for my reply. Sometimes I'm busy. And then I say, hey, why don't you read the manuals? So do you also often read the manuals when you need
Uh,
answers? Do you think it's a good habit?
so I think in the first few years of my career,
Mm-hmm.
I read a lot of manuals. I was
Okay.
always reading manuals. Maybe you can imagine because I was in college.
Yes.
So you can imagine I was like always reading stuff, mostly about
That's
academia
very
or about my
important.
job.
Yeah.
Yes. After that, this habit has changed. Now, sometimes I jump right over to the hardware and
Yeah,
start doing the
because you're
labs.
experienced, so I can imagine.
Experienced also, and the customers' expectations about
Hmm.
the solutions has also grown.
Yeah.
Like they want replies faster, so we just try to look up for a lab whichever company has designed for a certain
Oh,
product.
so you have,
We
okay.
test it out.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So now we
That's
have
interesting.
access to all of that.
Oh,
So
okay, that's
yeah.
interesting. So
Yeah,
you,
but reading manuals is very important
yeah,
and look
it's
up
very
for,
important. Hmm.
yeah, because labs don't give you everything.
Yeah,
User
that's true.
manuals or reference manuals,
Yeah,
or look up for the internet for,
yeah, all the
basically, I would
answers.
say don't stop learning.
Hmm.
Don't stop learning. There is you cannot learn the 100% about
Yeah,
anything
that's true.
unless you keep reading the manuals.
Yeah,
So keep learning.
yeah, that's right. If listeners, if you're listening this, manuals are really important. So you should have a habit of reading it. So Vineet, since we were talking about Industry 4.0, IoT, or artificial intelligence, do you have an example for the audience how this can be used in the industry?
Yes, Rajveer. Now, since more and more smart machines are coming up and we want to have more efficiency and less scrap,
Mm-hmm.
we are trying to use or put machine learning or artificial intelligence into our machines or our systems.
Okay.
Uh, so let me give you an example. Let's say we have a conveying system
Okay.
where we are using a fan or pump for conveying some liquid or semi-solid kind of stuff
Okay.
from one point to another. So in such scenarios, there are places where the pipe might start leaking
Okay.
or the pipe might get blocked
Yeah.
because of the material getting sticking to the pipes,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah.
So let's say we can define a system calculation model
Okay.
which can point to the leakage or blockage kind of scenarios when the machine is running in real time.
Yeah.
So let's say
Okay.
when the machine is running normally,
Mm-hmm.
we take a few samples, like 100 samples almost at
Okay.
different speeds of the fan or pump. So we know at different speeds what should be the pressure inside the
Okay.
system.
Okay.
You know, we will
Okay.
feed it to the system, the
Got it.
artificial intelligence system.
Okay.
So it will develop a physics-based model and it will know
Oh.
at, let's say, 10 hertz of the speed of the pump,
Yeah.
my pressure should be some X.
Yeah.
And at
Okay.
20 hertz, it should be X dot something or
Right.
Y,
Okay.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
And in the case where we see where there is some sort of leakage, so
Okay.
these values
Will be changed.
calculated
Mm-hmm.
calculated by the AI model
Mm-hmm.
and the actual feedback from the sensor, they will
Okay.
not match.
Yeah.
You know, the
Yeah.
sensor will say it is X, and the AI module computation will say it is Y.
Yeah.
So if this difference is considerable enough, like it's not the
Okay.
actual, because there are some fluctuations during the system. If
Yeah.
it is more than these fluctuations,
Got it.
my system can say that there is some sort of anomaly it has detected.
Okay.
There might be some sort of leakage,
Mm-hmm.
and if there is a the pressure buildup
Okay.
more than what it usually used to be in the
Yeah. Okay.
normal running, my
Okay.
artificial intelligence system can say that there is some sort of
I
blockage in the
see.
system.
So the
So
system,
it,
yeah.
yeah,
So the system is actually reading the system behavior and it's telling you whether it's a leakage or a blockage based on if the pressure is increasing or decreasing. Maybe it's very minute, but it can tell you.
yes, yes. So you can
Amazing.
define what sort of difference you want to see. If you want to
Oh,
raise
okay.
the alarm at 1% of difference
I see.
between
You can define
your
that.
actual and
Oh,
computational values,
okay.
or if you want at 10%, you can define that. And it helps you to do some proactive maintenance,
Yes, we call it predictive
or
maintenance. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
and if
But
you
still.
already know that the system is running fine,
Hmm.
so you don't have to go for any maintenance plan, maybe that until
Yeah,
that time, until
exactly.
you get, you don't have to define based on the time period, but actually you have to define on the
I
basis of
see.
the system performance.
Yeah, because I remember once I made an example of predictive maintenance. I did it in PLC programming. It was very complex. Now you say that you already have new products which can do this computation. That's really nice and makes the work easy, I suppose.
Yes. Yeah. So
Okay.
these devices or these programs or softwares which are available,
Mm-hmm.
they're available at the machine level also.
Okay,
You
machine
know,
level. Okay.
last time it used to be you have to put that in a computer or on a server, and they will
Okay.
be very
I
expensive.
see. Okay.
But now they are available for
Machine.
machines also.
Oh, okay.
So at machine manufacturers can take a great benefit from these kind of
Yes. Yes.
systems, you know.
Exactly. So every machine has its own product which are analyzing the behavior and raise the alarm based on
Yeah,
anything. Yeah,
yeah.
that's
And you can
great.
develop multiple, yeah, and you can develop multiple models also. Like you are may not be interested in just the pressure of the system.
Mm-hmm.
You might be trying to calculate some other quality of the system where, let's say, a particular viscosity of the system,
Mm-hmm.
which you cannot measure at some time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, viscosity measurement devices are
Yeah.
very expensive
Yeah.
on the run if you're running measuring on the run. So
Okay.
what you can do is you can develop a model by taking samples offline and
Yeah.
then develop the model. It will keep
Oh, okay.
indicating what kind of viscosity you can expect from all these
I see.
parameters,
I see.
and
That's
take
really
less
nice.
samples compared to last time. Like
Okay.
last time you were taking a sample every 10 minutes or
Mm-hmm.
20 minutes. Now you
Mm-hmm.
can take like every half an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So it reduces your number of offline samples, the wastage of the resources and all.
Oh, okay. Quite interesting. That's like, yeah, that's like we said, we have to learn a lot of things. Now there are more challenges. So there's new devices, new algorithms, new software, new programming languages. It's really interesting. Thank you for sharing this experience, Vineet. Okay, moving ahead. I would like to ask you which PLC products you would recommend to the students who wants to start learning PLCs from Rockwell Automation, of
Uh,
course.
from Rockwell Automation.
Like a beginner
See,
products, yeah.
actually, I would say it's not about PLC products. It's
Mm-hmm.
about how you program them.
Okay.
Like people should learn ladder programming,
Yeah.
how to programming ladder, how to
Mm-hmm.
programming SFC,
Mm-hmm.
structured sequential function
Yeah.
charts, or doing. So basically, going for all these programming, you should be able to define the workflow or the
Yeah.
project flow,
Okay.
right? So then you have to translate into any different language. Maybe
Yeah.
some people try to program in ladders.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are very comfortable with function blocks.
Okay.
Some people are very comfortable with structured text.
Yeah.
It's more like a C
Yeah,
kind
exactly.
of
Yeah.
look and feel.
Mm-hmm.
So it's less about the product, which product they can go. Like there are various series, micro logic, control logics, compact logics.
Okay.
But instead, it's better because you are talking about learning how to
Yeah.
program.
Yeah.
So then it's better to go for like different languages.
Okay.
So if you learn these languages, it would be easy for you to program any of these PLCs.
So, like you said, ladder logic. Is it true that ladder logic is used a lot in United States or in this part of the country? You use mostly ladder logic, or which language is more prominent now? Or which is your favorite language?
So talking about my favorite,
Mm-hmm.
it's of course ladder.
Okay.
But why is ladder or any language is used in an industry or in a
Mm-hmm.
certain area?
Mm-hmm.
It more comes down to like history of our PLCs.
Okay.
PLCs were developed to replace the relay ladder.
Yeah.
Relays,
Relay
basically.
logics.
There
Yeah.
were a lot of relays.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so and it more likely translates to ladder programming
Yeah.
as compared to any other
So it's
language.
easy
So
to
that's
understand. Yeah.
why, yes, and an electrical guy also can understand this ladder logic.
That's true.
So that was a natural, uh, you know,
It's interesting
natural translation.
to understand this analogy, but here, if I say you my example, in Germany, nobody does ladder. Everybody use
Yes.
FPD or SCL. I don't know why they don't understand this connection of electrical and ladder, which is true, which you just said. I believe it's true and it's right, but it's easy to understand. So in Allen Bradley products, you believe that ladder logic is the most important. They can start with ladder logic if somebody is beginner.
No,
Yeah.
sorry, maybe I misinterpreted I say why it was most popular or it
Mm-hmm.
is most popular, it's because of its analogy with relay.
Yeah.
But now it depends on the industry which you are serving.
Okay.
So when you are doing some sequential logics,
Mm-hmm.
so it's better to use ladder.
Okay.
But if you are using some sort of if-else
Yeah.
logic
Yeah.
where you have to do for loops kind of
Yeah,
things,
exactly.
then you can do structured text.
Yeah.
And if you are using some continuous running program,
Mm-hmm.
like in some, let's say, oil and gas kind of
Okay.
industry or
Okay.
some process industry, you can
Mm-hmm.
use function blocks
Okay. Yeah.
more often. And if you are
Okay.
using some batch applications,
Mm-hmm.
where you are creating batches every now and then, like let's say a shampoo,
Mm-hmm.
or creating a batch of chocolate.
Okay.
So it's better to use sequential function chart.
Okay. Okay.
So it depends on industry or process,
Mm-hmm.
but I still have seen more people doing programming in ladder as compared to
Yeah,
any other languages.
that's true.
As per, yeah,
I also started my learning with the ladder, and then I moved to different languages, but ladder is the easiest one to start and learn and implement. So
yeah.
great. All right, so moving ahead. So I would like to ask, like most of the students looks for resources to run Rockwell products. Do you have any software or online courses which they can go through? For
Okay.
example, any learning
So,
platform or portal for students, open source?
okay. So, as far as looking for some documents,
Mm-hmm.
user manuals, reference manuals,
Okay.
you can go to ab.com, and then you can find literature library, and you
Okay.
can find almost all the documents about all the products,
Okay.
or most of the products, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
If you are looking for any training programs, then
Okay.
Rockwell has a lot of learning programs,
Mm-hmm.
or every automation vendor would have.
Okay.
But if you're looking for free resources,
Mm-hmm.
then Rockwell has some programs for free online courses
Oh,
which
okay.
people can go through.
It's also at
Yes,
ab.com.
and no, not at ab.com. So you have, I can provide you the link to
Okay.
those
I will
courses.
put it in the description.
So
Okay.
yeah, but there are a lot of paid programs also,
Mm-hmm.
or internship programs. So you can look out for,
Okay.
keep a watch, and you
Okay.
can go through.
That's great. Yeah, you can share me the link. I will put it in the description so that they can go through it. Okay, great. Because I asked you this question, a lot of students are looking for resources, and most of them cannot afford to buy courses. So they're looking for free stuff. Although there are so many websites on the internet, but I thought to ask you because you are in this company and you can give a better guidance.
Yeah.
Okay.
So YouTube also has some courses.
Okay. Rockwell.
So it's not a pretty full course. It would
Mm-hmm.
just like more like introduction. So, but there
Okay.
are few courses I can provide the link later.
Okay. Okay, I have one question. I was just thinking, would you like to share any of your project which can give some information or knowledge to the student? Any experience from your projects in so many years? A small part of your project, just to highlight the students. Okay, this is also possible, something like that.
Okay. So one of the complicated project
Mm-hmm.
in terms of infrastructure,
Mm-hmm.
or the size of the project, it was a solar power plant.
Okay.
So so it's not a plant with photovoltaic cells. It's
Okay.
a plant which uses concave mirrors
Oh, okay.
to reflect the light onto some
Ah,
pipes,
I see.
reflect the light onto,
Okay.
and concave mirrors, when
Okay.
the light is at some angle, it will focus all the light onto their focal point.
Yeah.
And what would happen, the pipes, and we will put pipes on that point.
Mm-hmm.
So those material in that pipes
Get
will get
hot.
hot. So we
Oh,
will
okay.
put up some heat transfer fluid will
I
be there
see.
inside, and this fluid will go around and heat up the water, which will
Okay.
turn it into steam, and it will
Ah,
rotate a
that's
turbine.
nice. So it's a heating
Yeah,
system based
so
on lenses and sunlight.
so this was
Okay.
a 50 gigawatt plant
Oh,
based in
okay.
Rajasthan
Wow.
in India.
That's a lot.
Yes, so there were so many devices about it. Like there were around 500 PLCs in it.
Okay.
and they were controlling the movement of these
Movement
mirrors
of
because it
mirrors,
was
yeah.
not a single. So these mirrors were like in thousands.
Okay. So you
So
tracked
these
the
mirrors were
sun
made.
and you were controlling the mirrors.
Yes, yes.
And
So we have to follow some algorithm. Yeah.
which motors you were using for movement? Was it a
It was a
servo?
hydraulic system
Hydraulic
basically.
system.
No,
Okay.
actually, it was a hydraulic system. It was just working in terms of pulses.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, and there were some feedback devices for position
Yep.
feedback.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh,
And
yeah, but there were a lot of controls.
how did you track the sun?
So there is an algorithm
Okay.
that was developed by NASA, I believe.
Okay.
So we call it as azimuthal something
Okay.
algorithm. So when you provide it latitude and longitude,
Yeah.
it will take up the time from the real-time clock of
Okay.
PLC and it will convert it into the position of the sun.
I see. So there is no
Yeah,
sensors which is sensing the position of sun. It is through satellite information.
it's more like a yes. So it's
Okay.
not track. It does not know the actual position of the
Oh,
sun
okay.
based on some
Okay.
sensor,
Okay.
but it is calculating from some algorithm and it is pretty accurate.
Okay. So,
But we can use sensors also for the
all right.
feedback from
Okay, from the sun.
sun.
So I have a strange or maybe stupid question. What if it's cloudy and it's raining, but the sun is still there, its movement, is it still tracking it, or there is something else you avoid it in the situation?
Uh, so it mostly depends on the operators. When we were there, we saw that it was hailstorm. So those hailstones break some of the glasses or some of the mirrors, concave mirrors.
Yeah.
So in that scenario, we will like those mirrors to be at an angle where they will not be hit very fast or
Got it.
at the weakest point of the mirror. But if it is rainy or windy, if the sun is there, then we can keep it running. But it mostly depends on the operators. They have to decide.
They have to decide what to do in this case.
Yes.
Oh wow, this is very interesting.
Because they don't have the actual feedback from the sun, right?
Yeah.
So they just know the position of the sun. So it will come to the decision of the operator or the plant supervisor or someone.
Okay. Yeah, got it. Yeah, that's really interesting. Thank you for sharing it, Vineet. Okay, so moving on, I would like to ask you, if someone wants to join Rockwell Automation, what advice would you give him or her? I think you already talked about it, how they can apply. So I will skip this question. I will ask you the next question. If someone wants to contact you to ask anything related to today's podcast, do you allow them to contact you? If yes, how can they contact you?
I'm available on LinkedIn for people or your students to contact me. So they can contact me. You can provide them the link.
I will put the link in the description. That's great.
My LinkedIn profile. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one advice to the students, I also said in the last podcast, if you want to ask something, don't just say hi, hello. You have to put the whole question. Most of the people also write me just hi, hello, and I can't reply every one of them. So if you have any queries, please write to Vineet. I will put the link in the description. You can write anything about today's podcast. That will be great. So Vineet, do you have anything else to say before we end up the podcast?
So one advice for, actually I'm no one to advise anyone, but something which I've learned or what I would want to say about, don't stop learning. That happens when you get too comfortable in your role. But then suddenly you will, not suddenly, but over time you will realize that you might be lagging behind. So don't stop learning. Just put at least 10-20% or whatever time you can give for along with your job.
Yes.
You are learning. We started as only PLC programmers, but today I need to learn about all the databases, VB, Python and all. So a lot of products are coming in. So keep learning and keep your eyes open for the different opportunities or learning programs.
I think today it's more challenging than our own time, because at our time, if we are good in PLC programming, they will hire you. And today you have to know a lot of things, not just PLC. You have to know about IoT, you have to know about database or other scripts or other languages. And at that time, we didn't know these things because they don't exist. And we were happy with PLC programming, and we can have a job. Today is more challenging.
So actually, I would say today, if I try for interview with Rockwell, I might not go through. So
Oh my God.
it's a high possibility,
Yeah,
you know.
that can
You
be
have to learn
realized.
a lot. Keep learning, yes.
All right. Okay, so thank you, Vineet, for your time and valuable advice, and thank you guys for joining for the podcast. I'm really looking forward to see you someday, maybe in Singapore, if I come. And until that time,
Sure,
I
we can
wish
catch
you
up.
all the best for your future and wish you a healthy life.
Thanks, Rajveer. I wish you the same.
All right, thank you. So thank you for joining, guys. Have a good time. See you in the next podcast. Bye.